Okay, so what does it mean to lay down your flesh and be resurrected in spirit? To lay down your flesh means to put an end to your carnal state. Obviously, not literally, but spiritually. Because your flesh, your carnal state, is the origin of sinning. Your desires, your emotions, fear, your hormones, your thoughts that come from your brain, which is part of the physical of your flesh. So you put to death your sinning nature. Now, we as humans exist of two things, the flesh and the soul. The soul that is from the unseen, the soul that is God conscious, because your soul knows God. Your soul stood before God and vowed to Him to serve Him alone. So that is what it means to lay down your flesh and be resurrected in spirit. That you no longer let your flesh decide your actions, but you let your soul define your actions. And this is really the objective of Islam, submission. Not just submission to something external from yourself, legislation, etc. No, to submit your own flesh to your own highest consciousness, that is the God consciousness. Because he who is God conscious does not continue sinning, because it is the filter in between his desire and his actions. When Satan assails them, they remember and they know what to do. Satan has no authority over those who put their trust in their Lord. And that is what you need to understand when God says that all who believe in God, also from different religions, the Christians, the Jews, everyone, that they can all have their reward with the Lord. Depending if they listen to their own soul, to the God consciousness within them. Because remember, God doesn't only guide with the Quran. That is only one method of His. God also guides in the unseen. He supports the believers with a spirit from Him, inspiration from Him. But you will only receive this inspiration in the unseen if you yourself are connected to the unseen within you. That is your soul. So everyone in the world can be upon the guidance of God, even if they haven't read the Quran. And that is something that many of you don't want to understand. If God speaks to you in the unseen through divine inspiration, how can you say that this person is not upon guidance? You would understand if you would read the Quran from your soul and not with your eyes. That is how many people can read the Quran and be completely blind to the message. Because they are reading it with their eyes, without contemplating, without pondering. Do they not ponder upon the Quran, or are there locks upon their hearts? What does that mean? Locks upon their hearts. It is your soul that is locked in, that can't come out to guide you. So you are listening to your flesh alone. And that is what it means to lay down your flesh. To be resurrected in grace, sanctification, illumination, eternity. Because it is the soul within you that will live beyond this physical realm. If only you would understand. Well, I hope you do. Now, you need to sit with yourself in silence, meditate, and connect to the soul within you that is God conscious. Then you have won. Assalamu alaikum. What is the purpose of life? Those are the important questions. Probably the number one most important question there is, right? Well, in Islam we believe that this life is a test for the eternal afterlife. A test in which we have to find our way back to God. Our soul is taken out of the spirit realm and put into this life, into this body, into this world, under the influence of darkness, under the influence of hardships. And the question is, are we able to purify and strengthen our soul and come back to the pure system of God? Now, how do we do that? How do we purify our souls? What is a pure soul? Do I know what that is? Have I ever had a pure soul? Yes, we have. When we are born as babies, we're born as pure beings, meaning our soul has not yet been influenced by the effects of this dunya, by the effects of this life, meaning external factors have not yet changed the way we are, the way we think, and the way that we behave. We can still see this with young children. They don't care if you're rich or poor, if you're clean or dirty. When they have a problem with their friends, they move on from it. They don't hold a grudge. They don't seek revenge. They live in the present moment. When they are excited, you see them jumping. When they are like that. Pure beings, like little angels. Love, light, and innocence. But that changes when we grow up. Why? Because we see the reality. We see that there is darkness, evil. We experience pain. We get hurt. And we change. The effects change us. Everything changes us. Our parents, society, school, environment, traumatic events, war, violence. Everything changes the way we are. This is a basic rule of survival, to adapt yourself to the situation, to the environment. Now the question is, are we able to undo those effects? How do we purify our souls from the programming of this dunya? How do we go back to the factory settings of God, that is a pure being of love, light, innocence and peace, and obviously monotheism? Too bad there's not a shortcut, there's no button like reset to factory settings. You can't go back to the past, you can't unknow what you know. We have to go through it the hard way. Now the first step is, know that you have been conditioned. Everything about you, your belief system, the way you are, everything. The second step is, identify the programs. Why do you believe the things that you believe? Why are you the way you are? Why do you react like that in a certain situation? How do you feel at that moment? Do you often feel like that? Where does this feeling come from? Go through the entire analysis until you come to the origin of the program, probably somewhere in your childhood or due to a traumatic event. Now, when you have identified the program, now you can do something about it. You can change it. Now understand, majority of people do not go through a process of purification of the soul. They don't come back to the factory settings of God. They follow the programming that has been taught to them in this dunya. Not only a matter of religion, monotheism, but a lot more than that. They let the darkness of this dunya take away their light. And that is really the embodiment of Adam and Eve, who were in the gardens, in the presence of God, in the presence of angels, in the presence of nothing except good. Then why did they follow Satan? Because they didn't know darkness. Only under the influence of darkness do we truly appreciate light. Because tell me, do you appreciate the beauty of the stars during broad daylight? No, you don't. You only see the stars during the night. So now the question is, this is the test of our free will. Are we going to live by the programming of this dunya, by the programming of Satan? Are we going to let Satan change the soul that God created? Are we going to be a servant to the darkness? Or are we going to be a servant of God? Now, if you want to be a true servant of God, you have to go through purification, because God doesn't change the condition of a person until he changes what is within himself. You have to take that initiative. And if you don't go through purification, you can't even reach the true message of the Quran. You might have read the book and memorized the Quran, but your soul wasn't ready. When your soul is ready and you want to reset to factory settings, then you find the system of God explained in the Quran. Guidance for mankind, to lead mankind out of darkness into light, a guidance and a healing of the soul. There's no point at looking at anything other than the system of God, because anything else is only performance. You do not possess the knowledge to know who is guided by God or who is not. So don't look at performance. Change the system. You don't want to change one system of the dunya with another system of the dunya. You want to go back to the factory settings. Do you understand? I hope this helped someone. Assalamu alaikum. May God guide us all.